Good morning and welcome to the 2023 Revere Alumni Association Hall of Fame induction ceremony. In some ways, the world is a very large place. In others, the connections we develop with our community and classmates make the world feel extremely small. The community of Revere local schools covers a very, very small percentage of our state, country, and planet. But the impact and reach of our alumni is exponentially larger than our size will predict. It is students like you that will carry on the legacy of excellence our alumni have created. Our school's name is Revere. If you revere someone, you respect and admire them greatly. If you are revered, people are in awe of your ability and accomplishments. The vision of the Minutemen and the 6 tenets that it describes gives us a pathway to follow so that we earn the right to be revered. Our inductee and Hall of Fame member has taken their Revere education and applied the vision of creating solution, demonstrating a learner's mindset, embodying confidence and empathy, persevering and adapting, engaging with the purpose, and communicating truth to their personal and professional life. By living the ideals of the vision of the Minutemen, they have become the person that I am proud to call a Revere alumni. I hope you all take time and the opportunity today to connect with our Revere alumni. And I hope that many of you see yourself at this future ceremony standing at this podium. It is now my honor to introduce Dr. Zachary Mellion, our Revere Schools Foundation president, and Mr. Revere himself, Mr. Phil Hine.
Good morning. On behalf of the Revere Alumni Association, I want to congratulate our inductee and my friend, Mr. Aaron Hale, for this tremendous achievement and say thank you. Thank you for being such a great example of what our school community had to offer, and for being an extraordinary example and role model of perseverance and positive attitude. For all the upperclassmen, when you've heard me give my spiels about perseverance, and I use Mr. Aaron Hale as an example, he is real, I did not make him up, and he's here today. Now to introduce Dr. Zach Mellion from the Revere Schools Foundation.
Thank you, Mr. Hine. I am Zach Mellion. I currently serve as president of the Revere Schools Foundation. I'd just like to take a couple moments to explain why we're here today. One tradition that our football team at Revere used to have when I played here was the senior courtship. This was an opportunity for each senior to pass something meaningful on to the underclassmen that would step into their shoes and fill that position next year. This was held at the last practice of the season, where we, as teammates, would gather on the field and see what each senior had to offer. For me, the best memory of this tradition happened when I was a sophomore, when the senior quarterback, who was a friend that I looked up to, would pass something on to me. That senior quarterback was that man right there. Mr. Hine had this really cool face mask that I thought was perfect, and I was hoping so badly that he would part with it and pass it on to me, and he did. That face mask represented the skills that I had learned from him that I could apply and pass along in the future. It was also a reminder of responsibility and the pride that I had to play for Revere. It's traditions like these and the experiences that you share with others that teach you skills to help you learn and grow. The Revere Schools Foundation, along with the Alumni Association, want to share some of those great achievements of our alumni, like Mr. Aaron Hale, that they have attained, and give you the opportunity to learn from their challenges, learn from their successes, and use those lessons as you go through life. At this time, I would like to introduce former Revere principal, Mr. William Holko. Mr. Holko was the principal here for 10 years, from 1992 to 2001, and he is the reason why we have a Revere Hall of Fame. More than 32 years ago, Mr. Holko created a Hall of Fame to showcase our amazing alumni. For myself, Mr. Hine, and our inductee, Mr. Aaron Hale, we were lucky enough to be at Revere while Mr. Holko served as principal. He is a man of great character and was a great mentor for many students. And today is a special occasion for many reasons, but having Mr. Holko here to introduce our inductee is particularly fitting. Mr. Holko.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Zach, for that very kind introduction. It's just always sort of a strange feeling when you come back into a building, although we were in this building. It just brings back so many great memories. Mr. Fiola, who was assistant principal here with me for half of that 10-year tenure. We've been able to walk around through the building and meet some new teachers and reacquaint ourselves with teachers who were here when we were the administrative team. Let me also say that you're a very impressive student body. I mean that sincerely. You've come into some schools and you wouldn't see this kind of respect, dignity that we're seeing here today. So from the bottom of my heart, I commend you, a very, very impressive student body. It is my special privilege today to provide you with some biographical information regarding Mr. Aaron Hale on this very, very significant occasion, his induction into the Revere High School Alumni Hall of Fame. I do want to thank Mr. Phil Hine and Mr. Zach Mellion for giving me the opportunity to do this, because I consider it truly an honor. Mr. Hale is a 1996 graduate of Revere High School. And while he was a student here, he was inducted into the National Honor Society, was selected as a member of the Principal's Leadership Forum, and elected as a senior member of the Homecoming Court. He was also an all-league performer in football, excelled at lacrosse. I remember Mr. Hale as a well-rounded, popular young man with a very memorable sense of humor. In 1999, Mr. Hale joined the United States Navy as a chef to the commander of the 6th Fleet. But then he decided to take his military career in a different direction. So in 2007, he transferred to the United States Army and became an expert explosive ordnance disposal, EOD technician. EOD technicians are the Army's tactical and technical explosives experts. They're trained to destroy and to disable unexploded ordnances, improvised explosive devices, and weapons of mass destruction. Needless to say, a very important, a very significant responsibility. Well, on December 8th of 2011, Mr. Hale was working on an IED when it exploded, leaving him with severe injuries, including to his face, and also leaving him completely blind. But not letting those injuries hold him back, he chose to persevere and be the very best that he could be as an EOD instructor, a motivational speaker, a mountain climber, a whitewater kayaker, a marathon runner, as well as working to assist other veterans. However, 4 years hence, new challenges were thrust upon him when tragedy struck once again. He contracted bacterial meningitis, which robbed him then of his hearing, leaving him not just 100% blind, but completely deaf as well. Try to imagine that, put yourself in that position. For months, he was without sight and hearing. He communicated by actually having words sort of etched out on his hands, letter by letter, so he could understand what the person who was trying to communicate was communicating. And during that trying time, he kept himself busy by returning to cooking, which included learning how to make fudge. The love of fudge was the beginning of the confectionery business that he has, known as Extraordinary Delights, EOD. Creative, huh? After waiting several months, dealing with multiple surgeries, Mr. Hale received cochlear implants, which allowed him to hear. Mr. Hale is also a highly decorated veteran, having been awarded the Purple Heart, the Bronze Star, as well as numerous achievement medals, meritorious awards, and a host of other commendations. Today, Mr. Aaron Hale is back to public speaking and sharing his story. He's a proud husband, father of 3 boys, a 12-year-old and 3-year-old identical twins. He runs a thriving chocolate company with his wife, Michaela, and he's partnered with fellow wounded veterans and friends to form a real estate investment company. He's also a social media influencer, and he recently completed his third 100-mile ultra marathon. Aaron, you are truly a role model. You certainly do not know the meaning of the term give up. There is so much about you and your life story that should inspire each and every one of us in terms of how we should face difficulties with courage and resolve. And as I reflect on all you've accomplished and you continue to accomplish personally, I'm also in awe of how you maintain the spirit of serving others. I'm reminded of a verse in the New Testament book of Philippians where the writer says this, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. You, sir, epitomize those words of wisdom. So, Mr. Hale, thank you for your service to your country. Congratulations on your induction into the Revere High School Alumni Hall of Fame. It goes without saying that you are a most worthy recipient of this honor. May God bless you and your family. Can we give Mr. Hale a warm welcome?
Mr. Hahn, and all my friends, and all of your students, faculty, and staff, it's pretty amazing. Can you believe this thing? My wife, about a year ago, discovered this just hiding away in my mom's attic. Dirty and hadn't been touched in 27 years, so she snuck it away, cleaned it up, sent it to the dry cleaner and gave it to me as a surprise. The only thing I could think of was, I can't think of a single reason or excuse that I'll ever put that thing back on. I want to tell you all that we people, humans, are a strange species. We are the world's greatest adaptation machines. And we are all also instinctively designed for laziness. I'm sure 27 years ago, when I last wore this thing, and was leaving this high school, which looks nothing like remembering. I'm sure 27 years ago, nobody would have had me pegged for Hall of Fame material. I was a bit aloof, kind of a goofball. I had enough natural talent, natural ability, and I guess winning enough smile to get by without having to put a whole lot of effort into anything. Now I have to try too hard to just maintain average, as a B, C student. And of course, when I got to college, all the other students that knew how to work hard and put the effort in quickly passed me by. So after 3 semesters and still not achieving the status of sophomore, I decided I needed to find those. I did a little more self-development, needed to find those virtues that will help me be a greater impact in my world and in my own life. So I joined the military. And I decided I wanted to be a chef, so I was in the Navy and became a cook in the Navy. And spent 8 years touring around the world, spent most of that in Italy and Europe, cooking for admirals, and it was a fantastic experience. However, this is early 2000s, and even though I joined the military in the time of peace, we quickly found ourselves in 2 wars. And having been given work ethic and, all of those personal virtues and values that helped me become a strong leader in the Navy, had also given me something I hadn't intended, and that was a greater value for those external virtues such as service. I had grown to love my service to others, the sailors to my left and right, to my country, to everyone else. And I found that the more I poured into others' cups, the more mine overflowed. So when we were in Iraq and Afghanistan, I decided that my newfound skills and my natural talents combined could be better served in another capacity. So I jumped ship, so to speak, and I joined the Army to become an explosive ordnance disposal technician, the military's bomb squad. So I went from wearing an apron to a bomb suit. I tell people, after getting my first confirmed kill with an eclair, I decided I should start saving lives instead. But that's what I joined, was a tight-knit brotherhood of first responders on the battlefield. We were tasked with the job of detecting, diffusing, and disposing of everything that goes boom at war. Roadside bombs and landmines all the way up to nuclear weapons. That was our job. I deployed to Iraq, and I deployed again to Afghanistan the second time after I deployed once as a cook. In 2011, when 8 months into this 1-year deployment, I'd just gotten back from 2 weeks of vacation from the battlefield, visiting family, where I got to see my firstborn turn 1. I got to witness the whole family gathered together for a huge Thanksgiving reunion. It was a fantastic last page in the photo album, because I was right back on the battlefield, my team and I driving back out to our area of operation when the convoy commander called back to me on my truck and said, EOE, there's a roadside bomb ahead. We need you to take care of it. So I tossed the luggage off of the robot, threw the robot out of the truck, and it found an improvised explosive device. We could work in these things for about the whole year. We knew what we were doing. And my team and I made short work of the ID, and as I was working to collect some evidence and dispose of the rest, there was a secondary device nearby that we hadn't yet detected. And it punted me into the air. I landed on my knees and elbows, and the lights went out. boom right on your face. And I was ready to get back in the fight right after I did the functions test. Wiggled the fingers and toes, everything seemed to be intact, so I reached up to grab the helmet just to find that it was gone. And that's when I thought, oh no, this is bad. My first sergeant's gonna kill me for losing that helmet. But I soon found myself right back stateside and learning from the doctors that I would never be able to see it again. I would be blind for the rest of my life. It took the years of learning in the military of who I could be and the power of serving others to get me through my own hardship. It also took the support of my military family and the family that sits in front of me today. You know, people ask me, if that my other senses have gotten stronger since losing my eyesight. And I tell people that I am blind and deaf. No. But I have developed a sixth sense, so to speak. I've developed this ability to know when people are rolling their eyes at me. But the truth is, I was sitting there in the hospital bed in Walter Reed in Bethesda, Maryland, feeling sorry for myself, trying to figure out what if I'd done something differently, why me? All those questions, all those self-defeating questions that there weren't really answers for. They just put me in a tailspin of victimhood and self-defeat and just in despair and depression. And I was a stalwart, loving mom who was eternally optimistic and had already been through this before with my brother and my brother who had also been through this. Trauma's no stranger in our family, but we are, as I found, stronger for it. So, instead of asking, why is this happening to me, I began to ask, why is this happening for me? And then how can I adapt and overcome? Which is a question I have been taught to learn, taught to ask myself about every situation on the battlefield from my military experience. How do I adapt to the situation and overcome it? As EOD team, there's 3 members on the team. We get this entire shipping container full of tools to help us defeat the objective, the problem, handle the mission ahead on the battlefield. But when we get to the battlefield, we get this big armored truck that's not quite as big as the shipping container. So we have to leave some tools behind. And we just take the tools that we need or we can fit into this truck. And then when I got deployed to Afghanistan, we were on missions into the countryside on goat trails that couldn't support any vehicles, so we were on foot. So I could only carry the tools that I could put into my assault pack on my back to carry. And then, of course, I had to leave the rest of the tools behind. And as General Jim Mattis said, in the Marines, things being hard was never a good excuse for mission failure. So here I was, the mission still had to continue. I'm still a soldier, still EOD tech, still a father and a son and a brother and a husband, and I still have a job to do. and I was responsible, not just for my life, but the lives around me. I was responsible to them, and I'm accountable. Quitting was not an option for me. And as soon as I realized that, I was on a mission. I wasn't crying about my situation or the tools that I had to leave behind. It was about becoming the best blind Aaron Hale I could be. So once I left that hospital room, I started finding mentors, coaches, people that have experienced certain tragedies in the past and who were making the best of it. I found other service members like Lonnie Bedwell, who is a blind person, who's the first blind person to kayak the entire Grand Canyon in a solo boat. Aaron Hale is the first blind person to climb Mount Everest. I just sought these guys out. I went kayaking with Lonnie, and then I went mountain climbing with Aaron. I started running marathons. I started speaking and telling my story and helping others. And just by me doing my best, I can be an inspiration to others. I can be a contribution to my community. I can leave an impact and contribute still. I know I was doing okay, becoming the best that I could at being a blind person when almost 4 years later, tragedy struck again when I contracted bacterial meningitis. I was right back in the hospital fighting for my life again. And the doctor told me that either the heavy doses of antibiotics or the bacteria itself, I was going to be dead in a couple days. And I asked the doctor, so what you're telling me is I'm going to be 100% blind and 100% deaf. Are you telling me I'm never going to have to pretend to pay attention ever again? And the truth was, I was sent right back into one of those spirals of self-defeat, asking, the ether, why is this happening to me again? Lightning strike twice. Haven't I paid my dues? When have I had my fair share? But again, it's just self-defeating stuff. There's no winning from that. That closes off your imagination. Saying, I can't, shuts down possibility. It cancels out hope. So, having given myself a pity party, I decided to do the best I could with the tools I have left. And even though I felt I was trapped inside my own body, my whole world ended at my fingertips. Couldn't even get a message in. My wife was writing words like letters right in the palm of my hand to get a message in. That was my life until a year later when I could finally get this cochlear implant and restore a little bit of my hearing. So for an entire year, I was blind and deaf. So I did what anybody in my situation would do. Start a chocolate company. It was about Thanksgiving time again, and I decided I was just going to put all of my energy into throwing a great Thanksgiving feast. I started cooking weeks in advance. I started making all these desserts, cakes and pies and cookies and all that, and fudge. I made so much fudge. My wife had noticed two things. One was a smile on my face that she hadn't seen in almost a year. And fudge was just piling up. So she snuck it out the front door, like you'd be real stealthy around a blind deaf guy, and giving it away. And people started coming back and asking for more. I said, that was great. Could you buy some for our baby shower or birthday? The capitalist in me said, well, of course you may. Before we knew it, we had extraordinary delights, EODfudge.com, to be in this business. I was an entrepreneur, a blind deaf entrepreneur. I got back on my feet and I learned how to do things all over again. I took the trekking poles that I once used to go into the mountains, and I just used them like long and Teddy just to get out to my mailbox and back. And eventually I got back on the treadmill, I started running with my running partners again, and instead of running marathons, I started running ultra marathons. Last December, I ran my third 100-mile ultra marathon and qualified to run the Backwater 135 this summer. It's a 135-mile race across Death Valley, which is touted to be the toughest foot race on earth. Sounds like fun. But what I found above all else is that we are not strong despite our struggle. We're strong because of our struggle. We don't survive. We can survive, but we don't thrive unless we put ourselves into hard challenges. Sometimes the challenge is chosen for you, sometimes you choose it for yourself. And December 9th, 2011, when the explosion happened, it took my eyesight, there were actually 2 explosions. You know, by definition, an explosion is science teachers here, plug your ears. An explosion is a rapid, sudden release of potential energy. And this is something that I was told a lot here in high school. You have so much potential if you don't only apply yourself. Is that something? When that explosion happened in Afghanistan, it was a catalyst moment. It created an explosion in my life and catapulted me into a whole other world where I released the potential in myself. And I'm now causing, I'm irritated to know that I'm very grateful to realize that I can potentially influence catalyst moments in others' lives. And that's really what I look for. So, the most unlikely candidate for a Hall of Fame induction. I thank you very much for allowing me the honor of giving me this distinction. I hope all of you realize not just that you have potential energy, but you create catalyst moments in your life every single day. Lean into the challenge. If you feel too comfortable for too long, you know you need to get moving and take some action. You have a ton of potential energy in here. And coming from somebody who is lazy enough to realize in the dark his potential energy for too long, start out. Little daily habits build up into something amazing. Thank you very much. It's so wonderful to be here back at my old alma mater. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Hale, thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to invite to represent our district, our Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Mindy Krantz.
Good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to share Dr. Tuff's regret with not being able to attend this morning. Please know that his heart is here as well as where he needs to be this morning as well. So first of all, I would like to thank you all for taking the time to come. Our Board of Education members, alumni, staff, students, family, and friends. It's indeed an honor to be amongst you today. Mr. Hale, we lift you up in honor today. You and your family have made incredible sacrifices for this country. We honor that today, to be sure, and we also honor the amazing man you are. The grit, determination, perseverance, and character you display on a daily basis is indeed a role model for each of us. We count ourselves fortunate to learn from you and to stand beside you as fellow landmen. When you spoke today about filling each other's cups, when you spoke about being a lifelong learner, when you spoke about your incredible ability to not let self-defeating behaviors define you as a man, but you adapted, rose above, and became even more than what you were the day before. Thank you for all you do and for who you are. Please join me in giving a round of applause for Mr. Aaron Hale, Revere Hall of Fame. And I have to say, Mr. Hale, the coat still looks great on you, and we're proud to give you a reason for wearing it today. Thank you all.